Welcome to the Nightcap, your TA home. Everybody knows we trade in them zones. Late night, no sleep, yeah, we keep it real. Crypto moves fast, no time for the feels. TradeFly rocking charts, he about to take flight. Crypto Nightcap, where the dark meets the bright. This path ain't cheap, you can dream while you sleep. Steady building wealth, invest in yourself. Breaking it down, good vibes in sight. The makers in tight, adjusting my sight. It's all or nothing, this is how we attack. Get your head right, it's a Crypto Nightcap.
What is going on, crypto fam? Welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Nightcap. We're doing this every Monday through Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're giving you some of the most important market news as well as TA that you can actually use for tomorrow. And it's a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. Bitcoin sitting at 89K currently. We're getting all the way up to the top side of that channel that we've been talking about here on this channel for quite some time. So it is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But you know, we got to play this song right now. Let's go. Bitcoin is pumping. Altcoins are following suit. And I mean, we've been seeing moves 40, 50, all kinds of crazy percentages right now. We're going to look at that when we get to the market update. But today we actually have a very special guest. He's running a little bit late right now. He's traveling out to, I want to say he said Oklahoma, but he just got to the hotel. So he's getting set up. He's kind of scrambling right now. So me and FD, we're going to kick this show off right here. But I am super excited to bring on our guest. That is none other than Magic Internet Money. He is actually one of my favorite guys in the space, super good dude, and he is amazing with technical analysis. So looking forward to talking with him in a bit. Actually, he just checked in just now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give it over to FD. I'm going to let him kind of go through some of the chat, say what's up to everybody in here. I'm going to get Magic set up in the background, and we're going to get this party started. So FD, over to you. Hope you got something good up on the screen right now, because it's coming your way. Improv, baby. Improv.
I got some. Oh, whoa!
And he's got nothing.
I got my face. I hope that's good enough, man. Let me share my screen. But we can go over the chat, man. Let's see who's in the chat. We have Slam Banjo. Doge just incredible. Yes, Doge is incredible. We've been talking about Doge for the past month or so. All the stars align for Doge, so appreciate that. We got Alexandra G in the house. Of course, she's the best mod in the game. Jesse G, I can't see this far from my screen, so I'm not going to kill your last name like that. Appreciate you coming. Crypto Chef, what's up, my guy? Alex O, welcome. We just talked over on my channel. Appreciate you coming over to the stream hour ago. TradeFly, how you doing, TradeFly? Money, Massey 33. We got STL Coin, all ALJR. We got all the people in the chat. Caffeinated Crypto, Piper, Buck, all the regulars are here. Jonathan Schaefer, how you doing? Harp, of course, Harp is here. Just all the gang is here, man. So today is a good day, like TradeFly said, man. And we got a great guest. He's, like TradeFly said, one of the best when it comes to TA. I've been watching him for a while as well. So I'm gonna pass it back to TradeFly because I want to get started and I want to see some of those charts.
Man, I'm still setting everything up here. Working it real quick as fast as I can. I got one more to drag in here. Boom. We got Magic up on the trio cam. Man, dude, what's up? How are you? Hope all is well, man. It's been a minute. It has been a minute.
Thanks for being patient with me, guys. I've been driving for like 4.5 hours. I just got to the hotel, so this is good. I'm glad I made it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. How are you feeling right now, man? The market is pumping through the roof. One of the big things of advice we were trying to give people at this point is like, hey, it's that time where you have to start looking about realizing some of those profits, right? You got to protect yourself. You don't want to ride things all the way up and all the way back down. So, simple things is maybe moving a stop loss up or, lathering out. That's one thing that I did notice with you. It looked like you said, I can't quote it, but I think something along the lines of my favorite DCA is DCA on the way out, right? Actually taking some of those profits. So, yeah, dude, if you would like to elaborate on that a little bit, as well as tell people, I know most people in the chat know who you are, but give you the opportunity here for the people that are new, checking this channel out for the first time, just to let them know who you are, where they can find you. I do have your socials down in the description below, so make it easy for everyone if you don't remember, but yeah, floor is yours.
Cool. Yeah. So me, just a guy that's been making TA videos for like 4+ years. So, but I've been trading full time since 2020. That's when I finally turned the curve, and this is my third cycle. So, been enjoying it. I've gone through a lot of phases of trading. Everything from it's got to be Fibonacci, then it's got to be volume profile, then order flow and harmonics. So I like to be well rounded. Still working on stuff, trying to improve, and I like to share things with people. So if you guys follow me on Twitter, you know that even though I do a fair amount of shit posting, excuse my language, but at the same time, I try to share some, however you want to put it, alpha or just some good information that, I don't think you're going to get elsewhere in terms of like what I'm working on. And same with the group. I'm trying to work on strategies so that people can spend less time in front of their computer and more time with their family, because that's what people want to do when they trade. So that's kind of my mission, is to empower people to spend less time doing, 12 hours a day at their computer, trying to catch every move, versus actually just doing some simple basic stuff and then using position size and management of risk to control the trade outcomes, which is a really interesting philosophy. So that's one that I've been adopting pretty hard in the last couple of years to make sure that people can find more success without getting wrecked, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That is definitely the name of the game. It gets very overwhelming. There is no doubt when you start day trading, scalping, like you find yourself very glued. You see those memes of people having their eyeballs kind of red and popping out because they just can't stop looking at the charts, right? And so that's kind of why I've kind of worked my way into swing trading myself, man. So now I'm kind of looking at those longer term setups. Where's a lot of liquidity sitting? What keeps the structure? Finding those long standing trend lines and channels. And that's really how I've kind of been trading here as of late, just because life is busy. Life is definitely busy, and you gotta allocate some time for the fam, so that is very important. I'm gonna go over to the chat real quick, say what's up to Alex O Crypto. He did donate $20, and he said Magic is my favorite trader in the crypto world. Honest, helpful, kind, real. Thank you, Mem, and keep posting dog poo pics and bat pattern charts. God bless. Position size matters. Otter. So
I love Alex.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good people's, man. I tell you what, I just got in the space like not too long ago, and I was with Hyper, and Alex O had me on his channel, and we had such a good time, man. It was probably like one of my favorite episodes, like with anyone I've done. We were just laughing the whole time, and it was good times, man. He's good people's. Couple shout outs here. I want to say what's up to Jonathan Schaefer, Alexandra G, the best mod in the house. How you doing? Slam Banjo, welcome to the chat. Jesse Galuk, Crypto Chef Harp, I seen you in here earlier. Username was in here as well. Crypto Billy was in the house. Want to say what's up to you. He is our guy. Massey33, St. Louis Coin, what's up? Jonathan Schaefer, got you already. And Al Jr., what's up, my dude? Scrolling through the chat here, we got a lot of people in here. Army Piper, what's up, Buck? How you doing? Caffeinated Crypto's in the house. 30, how you doing? There's a lot of new people in the chat today. Magic, you must be bringing the peeps with you. Crypto Helly's in here. And the Dusty Hunt. And, man, Pinchy Babalu. He's at Magic. What's up? In and Out Crypto's in the house. What's up to you? I'm always repping his swag, dude. He has some good gear. I think my favorite thing I have right now is a hoodie. It's a Bitcoin hoodie. Go ahead, check out the description below. You guys can get a discount on there. Save yourself some money. Amy Lives Crypto's in the house. Orange hearts as usual. how are you doing? We're gonna get her on the channel once she gets some time. I threw out the invite to her, so we will get her on here. We'll see. We'll say soon enough. Father Time 79's on here. What's up to you? And scrolling. Nikki B's in the house. How are you? Alato and Trade Intuition's in here. Go check his channel out as well. He's another one of the content creators that does great TA. All right. I think I got most of you here. If not, just shout at me in the chat. I'll give you a shout out here later. All right. Here we go. Yeah. So what we do here on this channel is we go through a little bit of news, mostly improv, man. So nothing too crazy. Yep. We will ask you an FD you just had on Crypto Face. All right. That's a good pull for you, man. Great episode. I saw you had a lot of people in the chat there. That was super, super cool to see. But Magic, I am going to ask you a very similar question that FD asked Crypto Face. And do you take news and some of the fundamentals into your analysis, or are you a straight chart guy?
Straight chart guy. I used to be a fundamentals guy, and I'm a straight chart guy now. I don't think that I think fundamentals matter. I just think it's not where I find my edge. So there are some people out there that can spot, that type of thing. But to me, I think strong fundamentals are represented in strong charts, and that's where I find I can get, the positions I want and be successful. So I don't knock anyone for doing it, but yeah, I don't pay attention to news or anything like that. I have no clue what's going on. I'm like a boomer of the space at this point.
Yeah. I do pay attention to the Trump pump. Yeah. I think it's real.
Yeah. That's a good point that
coming in office, that's for sure. When I was talking to David about this on the phone from Sin City just the other day, and he was talking about Trump and the pump, and he's like, when he gets in the office, I was like, have you ever heard the term, buy the rumor, sell the news? I'm not saying Trump's going to tank the markets. I'm just saying, what do you think people are doing right now and why they're getting out ahead of it? Big money is. So just be careful. Once he gets in there, you see all these headlines. It's like, we've seen it in cycles past. The news is always bullish at the top, man. It's always bullish at the top.
Yep. I've seen it a couple times now.
Good point. You made a good point, Magic, saying that it's not your edge. It's not where you find your edge. That's what we get caught up with a lot of times. It's like, oh, you don't do this or you don't do that. It's like, no, that's not where I find my edge. I use what I use because that's where I find my edge. So we have so many different type of traders, so many different type of people who trade different type of ways. So it's not really one right way, especially when you're like teaching it. Some people grasp what you're teaching, or some people don't. Some people might gravitate to other traders. So that's a very, very good point that you made.
It's one of those things where I've obviously traded a lot of different styles at this point. And I do have my preferences and my biases, but I've been around enough traders, I would say upwards of 10,000 through private mentorship. I've worked for other creators that hired me on to essentially build curriculum for their groups. And I see people doing all kinds of different things. And for a long time, I did have that kind of like mindset of like, oh, this is wrong. What you're doing is wrong because what I'm doing, that's not the way to look at anything in life, in my opinion. Very few things can you take that stance on. So I've seen traders use trend lines and be successful. At the end of the day, what changed my mind is I was listening to a guy, I think he runs a community, and it's called Flat Earth Trading Society. And his whole theory was that you don't actually need to do TA in terms of like looking at charts. They would literally use a Ouija board. They would use Scrabble letters and pick random tickers. And he would use position management of size to be profitable, just to prove that you can be profitable if you structure it correctly. So what's most important for me is not necessarily what they're doing. I don't care if you use astrology. I used to really hate on that. What's important is that they've put a system and have a structure in place so that they'll be successful. The main reason is you might not be successful early, but if you have a system and you're working towards that, you can tweak that system over time and find out how to become successful. That's the habits people need to worry about. They don't need to worry about, oh, Fibonacci's better than this, or trend lines are better than parallel channels, whatever it may be, even though they're pretty much the same thing. You get my point. So if I could leave anyone in the group, or, not the group, the group chat or the chat here, it's take that away, understand that there's a lot of different ways to make money. And the most important thing is that what you're doing works for you, both from a risk tolerance standpoint and then a time allotment standpoint. You want to make sure that those things are benefiting you in both aspects, because some people don't want a huge work-life balance where they can go hang out with their kids. Like I take my daughter to wrestling practice, 4 times a week type thing. I like being able to do that. Some people, they don't have that obligation. So maybe they don't, prioritize that, but they have to figure out what works for them, and what works for them might not work for other people. And that's okay.
Nice.
You preaching today, Magic. You preaching today, man. You dropping some fire, because everything that you're saying, man, is I second everything that you're saying, and it's really like I'm a basic trader, and we'll probably see it a little bit later. But like you said, that risk management, even if you're using Ouija boards or the Big Dipper, looking at whatever in the sky or things like that, that risk management means a whole lot. You can have the best strategy, you can get the best entries, but if you can't predict where the market is going to go, and sometimes it might go against you, and that risk management is key, man. So keep on preaching, man. It's going to be a great episode.
I think so.
Right on. All right, cool. Well, we're going to go ahead. We'll go through some of the news. We'll do a market update real quick, and then we'll get into what everyone is waiting for. I'm sure the TA. Let's see what Piper said. He just dropped a super chat. He said the 0.66 is not a fib, but it works in mine. Much love, Mim.
He is one of those that, you know what, in my younger days, that stuff used to get to me, and now you just got to let it go, be water. So, all right.
Piper, man. I love messing with him. Just remind Piper that we're the #1 show on Piper Academy. He loves that. So make sure. All right, cool. Let's go ahead. We'll get over the news real quick. And oh man, I guess I don't have a trio cam for that. Let's try this one. There we go. All right. First up, just in. Not really. Bitcoin is up 21% since Donald Trump won the election. We kind of talked about that. So the Trump pump has been real for crypto, but it is time to start taking a look-see at your positions and make sure you are protecting yourself and kind of, I won't say realize the games. Make sure you protect your gains. Okay, so don't watch it go all the way up. Don't watch it go all the way down. You definitely don't want to round trip it, but as right now, enjoy it. Okay, enjoy it while it lasts. Let's go ahead over the next thing. Bitcoin surpasses silver to become the 8th largest asset in the world. That is actually big news because we saw it rising up. I think the last time we talked about it, it was at number 6. No, maybe it wasn't number 6, but it was moving up the charts. But passing silver, that's a big deal, right? Because, there's that whole discussion of it being a, store of value. Is that the way it's really being used? I think they're trying to add some more utility to it. However, that being said, for it to pass silver is just big news. Crypto Billy with a $1.99 super chat. He said, "What up, Tell Mim? Still need that couch." There must be more to that story there. Billy has inside things with everyone. I don't.
Yeah. I think he's talking about sleeping on my couch and doing some TA at some point, learning TA. But yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, dude, he's one of the best, man. I love that whole group. Billy Goat Tales.
He took me by storm because before Billy Goat Tales, even that dude was everywhere. He was in every live stream with every single creator, and he was always positive though. And I couldn't believe how fast he was making an impact, not only on the people watching the show, but just the people that he was interacting with creator wise. It's cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. They have taken off too. Billy Goat Tales has gotten big. I've seen some really big names in the space. I was on one. Charles Hoskinson was in there. That was pretty cool. So yeah, they've done quite well. They got a book now. So my daughter did a book report on the book. It's
awesome.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's super cool. Cool. Let's go over, if you guys want to see my notifications, here they are. Who knows what happened to the story that I had? Let's go ahead and pull up Watcher Guru. I think it was on there. Let's see. Yep, it was the ETF one. So total spot Bitcoin ETF volume surpasses 6.9 billion today. So remember, that's volume. Not all volume is good volume, but today it definitely is. But still, it's impressive, man. 6.9 billion in one day for the ETFs. I think that it really is going to bring people into the space. I mean, I don't think there's any way to really argue it, because the more people find an interest in cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and they find it easier to obtain, I think that's just more bullish for Bitcoin as a whole, right? So, think about when you have some of these financial planners and managers, and they start talking to people and they start recommending Bitcoin to those individuals, this is good, right? This is more and more volume coming through the space, and that might cause them to start venturing out into things where they start buying spot, or even some of the other cryptos, some of the altcoins, maybe Doge. We've talked about that quite a bit here recently. FD was ahead of that, and he was saying, hey, when you see Bitcoin pop, you're probably going to see a lot of people roll back into those legacy meme tokens. And sure enough, that is what happened. But I do think there was an aspect of Elon, right? Elon's in the news, and, him and the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, that made headlines. And so I think that's part of that, just timing was right with Doge as well. So, dude, it's bullish. It is bullish, but that always gives me pause when everyone is bullish. All right. So you guys know what time it is. We got to bring on our fourth member of the show, the man, Elmer Fudd himself. All right. I know some of you, that is your favorite part of the show, and you'll probably leave after that, but FTX is now suing Binance former CEO CZ for $1.8 billion. The filing alleges that FTX was already insolvent, and the FTT tokens used in a share repurchase transaction were worthless, and therefore the transfer should be classed as fraudulent. I don't know how much this is actually going to affect you guys. Maybe if you were involved with FTX at all, that could actually add to some of the money that comes back to FTX that they're allowed to reallocate or push back out to the people that lost some of their funds. You have seen that with Voyager, right? So as some of these cases have gone on and on with Voyager, they've actually made multiple payouts to the people that had money still stuck on the exchange, right? So they gave an initial payback. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like somewhere between 15 and 30%. But they made that payout, and then later on they actually made another payout once some things settled in court, and they were able to actually send out a check to people. So you never know. This could ultimately be a good thing for FTX. Probably, I'd say, a bad thing for Binance. Possibly. I think that at this point, I don't know how much of an effect that'll really have on them, but here nor there. It's a little bit of news. Let's go ahead. Let's get into the market update, because we're trying to get over to the TA. So first up, we got core inflation rate month over month and year over year, as well as inflation rate month over month and year over year. That is going to be November 13th. You'll get that data there. You know where to tune into the morning show. Piper, he's got the breakdown for that. He's got all the alpha with all of the economic data that comes out. That's his specialty. He's great at that. So November 14th, PPI month over month, Fed Chair Powell speech. And then November 15th, retail sales month over month. So that's your big things that are coming up. Just understand that there could be some volatility in the market based on some of the numbers that come out. And that's really all we're trying to do, is let you know, hey, this might be why the market moves a little bit on certain days. All right, over to the total market cap. It is sitting at 2.95 trillion, almost to that big old 3 number. I remember it sitting at about $1 trillion not all that long ago. So that is up 6.57% over the last day. 24-hour trading volume is through the freaking roof at $287 billion. That is probably the highest I have seen it since I've been tracking the number. That makes for a 28.31% increase. That is massive. Bitcoin dominance is currently sitting at 59.06. That is an increase of 1.34% over the last day. Fear and greed index is at 87. We are now in extreme greed. Some people trade that. Extreme fear to extreme greed. That's their trading strategy. If you were to have done that recently, you would have done pretty darn good if you entered at extreme greed and then sold at really now. So, it is a trading strategy. It can work sometimes. Let's go over to the crypto bubbles, and we got a lot of green on the board. Crow is up 69.9%. I know nice. You guys enjoy that. Yeah. Doge is up 19.8%. Looking good. We got WorldCoin up 28.4%. Popcat, we got to talk about that because FD loves the Popcat, 9.2%. Near is at 13.2%. Bread is at 19.2%. And BTT is up 21.9%. Let's see if we got any big new movers here. Not too much. In terms of losers, Nero's down 12.9%, Ray's down 11.6%. Everybody else seems to be under about 5%. Let's go ahead and just look at your top 15, see if we got any movers. AVAX, let's go. Love to see that. That's at number 11. That is up. That is at 35.95 cents. That's a big move today. That must have just happened this evening, 11.4% for the week. Let's look at some of the weekly numbers because this is insane. Bitcoin is up 30%, Ethereum's up 37.8%, Solana's up 38.4%, BNB 19.1%, and Dogecoin winning 120% over the last week. XRP, of course, between 50 and 60 cents. Why are we not surprised? That's up 19.7%. What a move that just made. Cardano, hey, that's looking good. That's up 78.7%, and it is just under 60 cents. Not bad for Cardano. I mean, not too long ago, you were sitting at about 30 some cents. So that's a nice move for Cardano. But I think the line in the sand for Cardano, because if you go back to the previous cycle, the big, I'd say, line in the sand was $1. So I think that's really what a lot of people are going to wait for, is about $1. I think you're going to see a sell-off when it does get to $1 again. You're probably going to have to wait for it to break through there, come back, retest, and then look at a long position on Cardano. At least that's what I think I would do. All right, Shiba Inu, that is currently sitting at, let's see, a bunch of zeros and 2.7. That is up 56.4%. Not bad. Talked about AVAX. Tron is down. Tron is down to number 12 now, and that is only up 3.2%. So, you know, things that you look for sometimes, and this is why I like looking at these percentages, right? So Tron, not looking too good. It's at 3.1%. What does that probably mean? Well, if you do see a little bit of a pullback in the market, you could see Tron move exponentially in the opposite direction. So that's one you might want to keep an eye on, maybe a potential short if the market does pull back. TON is down to number 13. That's at $5.45. We were just talking about that one. Sub $5 might be an opportunity. That is only up 16%. They did have some FUD not too long ago. So, you know, I think that's why it's being suppressed here. Chainlink is at number 14, steady, 42.2%. Bitcoin Cash is up to number 15, and that is up 39.6%. Dewey, we'll talk about it. We don't usually go outside the top 15, but 67.5%, and that one has been talked about quite a bit on this channel. So, a lot of big moves, in just a week. You could have made pretty much with any of these, except for Tron, you would have beat the traditional market in a week. Crazy. It's crazy to think about. All right, Liquidation Heat Map. You guys know I love this one. We're on the 3-day right now. All right, one of the things I look for is the trend going into liquidity, right? So you are seeing it's cooling down. There's not a lot of liquidity up here. People are kind of getting beaten to submission. Every time it goes up, wiping out liquidity. Someone out there is a glutton for punishment because they keep taking leveraged short positions and they keep getting liquidated. And I don't know if that's retail. I don't know what's going on, but somebody just likes getting beat up. So what's that?
It said it's Gareth Soloway.
Yeah. Barris Soloway, yeah. But you can
myself.
You can see it's cool. It's cooling down. Not as much liquidity sitting up here, but there is some down at about 78.5. You can see the numbers are shooting up there. Let's go ahead and look at the monthly, and let's see what that's looking like real quick. So if you guys don't know, one of the reasons that I really love the Liquidation Heat Map, and this was one of my biggest plays this year, is if there's a lot of liquidity sitting in one spot and you start finding yourselves in a range, which we did, right? We were in a range since about February. There's I would say a pretty good likelihood when you start getting to the bottom side of that range that, you know, they try to go and grab that liquidity while keeping structure, and then you can look for, you know, a move up and right. I have a hard time believing that, you know, whoever kind of, we'll say, controls the market, if they do or they don't, I'm not really sure. But I don't think the exchanges want to leave all that liquidity sitting in one spot and, you know, just price takes off, right? So where is liquidity sitting at currently? You have you have probably a few $1 billion or more sitting in this area here at about 64,650. Now, price is taking off. We got a lot of movement behind it. So one of the things that I talk about too is like, which way is the trend going? Well, right now the trend's up and right. So I don't think this is really, I know this is not really in the near future, but when you start looking at, you know, the direction of the trend, then that's when you start thinking about, okay, there's an opportunity here to clear out this liquidity. And that's when I like to tie in some of the trend lines as well as, you know, fib levels. I like things kind of all lining up. And that's when a lot of times I'll start looking at a swing trade, which is what I did when Bitcoin went down to 50K here. All right, so let's get over to the chart. This channel we have talked about
Nice.
repeatedly. Now, very simple TA here, okay? So we're just looking at the high, all right, 2021, and then the all-time high, or the 2021 high officially, right? Because you had, you know, that first one, big pullback, went up again, right? But what did I do? I found the high and support, took the channel, all right, and I went to the right. Now, this channel obviously goes back to 2021, but look how it plays out once we actually get into 2024. All right, you can see that it was resistance. We got over top. We actually retested the bottom side here as support before price took off. Now, if you go over to the weekly, what you'll see is that there was never a close underneath of this trend line. It acted as support on the weekly. So this is really what I've been watching for quite some time. This is why I stayed bullish when a lot of people, when we got down here, were not, because of this trend. I say, hey, the trend is your friend till the end. If we break out, then it tells me something different. But we never really broke out. We never had a close underneath of it. So this was where I was looking at the liquidity. You had a previous range here, and the liquidation heat map is kind of what drove me to about 50K, as well as the bottom side of this previous range before we entered this one, right? So I think I was calling 50K a lot earlier than we hit 50K. So back to this. When we came up to the median, you can see it was resistance. We did get a nice rejection off of that, back down to the point of control, and then Trump happened. All right, so the Trump pump is here, and we're up towards the top side of this range now. I'm not saying we're going to get a rejection, but it would be interesting if we do, right? Because we take the high to high, very simple TA again. There's potential, right? Because it's really hard when you get into price discovery to make an analysis to say, hey, where are we going to go? And I think that most people are giving you kind of arbitrary numbers. All right, you know, 100K. All right, cool. Like, what's your basis? Like, you could measure out a flag. You know, here some people are calling this a flag. Some people are saying that we have a cup and handle. You can do measured moves off of that. And I mean, that is one way to trade for sure. I just think when you get into price discovery, you never know when someone's going to dump, right? You never know when someone's going to take retail, whether it be an institution or a whale, whoever the case may be. I think we'll see a lot less of that now that institutions are actually in. I think that is going to steady the market a little bit, where we don't have these crazy 10K wick days like we used to. But that being said, I kind of lean towards 100 just being an arbitrary number. That being said, I do think it's a psychological number. Be very, very careful when you get up to 100K. There's a lot of people that have been screaming for 100K. There's going to be people that are millionaires at 100K. There's going to be people that dump. So, you know, understand that, and just be aware of that. And that's kind of why we've been, you know, preaching, like, have a plan at this point. And there's very simple things that you can do, like whether it be lock in your profits, whether you take out your initial investment. Those are the big things that, you know, I just want to, you know, get across to you guys. You know, I don't want to be the guy that sits on here and says, hey, we're going to 100K, we're going to 100K. It's happening. Like, I don't know. This trend line tells me we possibly consider rejection. What happens if we break out of it? Dude, I'm not going to try to, like, make something up to you and say, hey, we can go to this arbitrary number. That being said, could have a rejection, maybe. I do believe that we're going to come back down at some point and retest these areas, though. I think that we need to come back down, because this is what we do. If you go back left on the chart and see, like, hey, what has Bitcoin done before? A lot of times they come back and at least retest the highs, right? Retest the highs, flip what was resistance into support, get that confirmation of continuation. That's something that I would be personally looking for. So where are some of those numbers? That's, I'd say, at about 73,855, which was your previous high. There's also some liquidity sitting here too at about 75,600 or so. You got a big block of liquidity, so I kind of marked that on the chart here in the purple, and that's why I have the turkey. You got the median of the channel. All right, I just moved part of my my pattern there, but you got the median of the channel. You got liquidity. You got the previous all-time high. That for me is where I'm going to be interested at potentially looking at a long position. I'm going to wait, obviously, until price gets there, but it's simple, right? You just set an alert, wait for the price action to come to you, and then, you start looking at, what's going on with the market. Is there something that's driving the market in that direction? Are we in a recession? There are things for you to look at minus just the charts in my mind. So that's what I got. It's really a broad, I'd say, overview of what I'm looking at, but I know you guys are excited to hear what my man Magic has. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pass over to him. Give us a minute as I set up his windows when I share the screen here. So, just lost somebody. Who did we lose? Anyone?
It was me.
Okay. All right. He's back.
I'm back.
All right. Cool. I'm going to give me one. You have your screen shared, Magic? We lost them again.
Give it a second. Hopefully it comes comes back. Let's see.
FD, what I'll do, I'll pass it over to you.
Okay.
And,
yeah, I just got a quick. I'm not talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking about altcoins right now because this is where I'm looking. I'm kind of forward looking, and I'm trying to get position for these altcoins. So what I have up right now is Near. I think Near is gonna do pretty well. I mean, everything is gonna do well, in the grand scheme of things. But I'm just zeroing in on a couple of these coins that I'm looking at right now. And Near, I just pulled a fib from the top of the market down to the bottom. So I'm aiming for this 618 Fibonacci level, which is also coming in confluence with this volume node right here. So what I was looking at, I was looking to break this downtrend here, broke down, and now we're getting a little small retest. We also have the 200-day SMA coming here. So it's just a lot of confluence coming in at this breakout of this massive downtrend that we've been in since the top of the market in March. So we are coming up some resistance right now. But just to keep it simple, I'm looking to my right and I'm seeing these volume profiles. I see if we break this is what the volume, man. We have a nice gap here, a nice huge gap here coming in basically back to about $6.20, which is the 0.5. And ultimately, I'm trying to get back up to this 618 that'll be at about $6.80. So a lot of these coins that I'm looking at right now, it seems like the altcoin market right now, when I just looked, we're getting a small little pullback. Seems like Bitcoin dominance is going up. When I looked at it, it was like we did dip below 60%. We got down to about 59.6 or 59.5. So what I'm looking at, I'm still looking at, let me go to Bitcoin dominance because this has everything to do with my altcoins and what I'm going to be doing with my altcoins and how I'm timing it. Bitcoin dominance did bounce back from this level at about 58.6. Now we're hovering about 60%, a little over 60%, 60.15. So I'm still looking for Bitcoin dominance to go up the rest of this month and hit this $63 to $64 area. And I just pulled a trend line all the way back from the beginning of the bull market or the end of the bear market of 2022. Pulled that and just rolled it up. So we have been hitting it and getting rejected, hitting it, getting rejected, hitting it and getting rejected. So I'm gonna just stay with history. History has showed that we've been hitting it, we've been getting up to it and getting rejected. So if we do manage to get back up here, this is also coming in with confluence of this resistance here at about 63 to 64%. What I would like to see, I'm not a fortune teller, but what I would like to see is for us to keep going up, Bitcoin keep going up. I don't know how high we are going to get, but somehow or at some point in the immediate short term, get a rejection off this the top side of this upward side of this channel. And then once we break this, and this is just my analysis, I don't know how anybody else is looking at it, but once we break the down or break the bottom side of this uptrend, then I think we're going to start a massive alt season. And history shows us that once we broke this downtrend and once we broke these huge downtrends, once we got out of the bear market and went into the bull market, and then we broke the downtrend or broke the uptrend in Bitcoin dominance, we go down significantly. And I think the real altcoin season starts low 50s, high 40s. If we can get down to the low 50s, high 40s for Bitcoin dominance, I think that's going to be where the bulk of the money is made. And history has, showed us if you're privy to the cycles, this is the end of the bull run. So I don't know I'm not too big of a 4 year cycle guy. Obviously, it has been playing out every 4 years, almost to a T. Barring, just we did get an all-time high before the halving this time, but seems like that 7 and 8 month lull period put us back on track. And then I told you right here on the nightcap, I said, look, October, the first 2 weeks of October are usually kind of bearish or a little bit stagnant. Those last 2 weeks are when October starts. And what happened? That Monday, October started. The third week, that Monday, like clockwork, October started. So I'm just looking at past history for a lot of my analysis, and of course, I'm zooming in and trying to get some of these altcoins, and just going from there. And hopefully, we can all just stay in tune to the market and make a lot of money, man. So just stick with Piper Academy, and I'm making 2 or 3 videos a day on my channel. And it's just Magic Internet Money is making a lot of great calls and great TA over on his X and whatnot. So just stay in tune, and I think everybody should do well. If you don't get too greedy, remember to take profits. That's the number one thing that we're going to keep drilling, is take profits. But in the market we're in right now, I think it's time to be offensive and not defensive. So if something changes, then we'll change our analysis.
Right on. I appreciate it. I'm going to go through the chat here, see who we got. We got a couple, we'll say stragglers. We got Tar Heel Mountain 84 in here. What's up, dude? How are you? Thanks for stopping by. Wick's wife, Fine 89. She's one of our latest moderators. What is up? Glad you're here. Who else we got in the chat here? Scrolling down real quick. I think I saw the Biomex, Tex-Mex Biomex. My dude, what's up? How you doing? Wick 589. What is up? What is up? And then scrolling. Jay Violet, what's up to you? Thanks for being here. Sergio Angel, what's up? And of course, what do you say? Crypto Billy. And the number one show is, man, you know it, the Crypto Nightcap. All right, let's see. Jimmy's in here. What's up, man? How are you? Thanks for being here. And Bitcoin Live, what is up? Crypto Mars in the house, dropping his emojis. Martial Law's in here. And let's see. I think I got most of you. All right. Flat Smack, what's up? How you doing? And then, cool. All right. Magic, it is that time. The moment that we've all been waiting for.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
All right. Let's get it going. Over to you, my friend. The floor is yours.
All right. A little Bitcoin action. Sure. We were talking about 100K earlier, so hopefully my audio is good. I've got some not so great Wi-Fi in the hotel, guys, so I apologize. But 100K is important, and it's not just a psychological or arbitrary number in this instance. And we can use data from the past to kind of justify and verify that a little bit. One thing I want to do right off the rip is talk about, even though we're going into a rise here in terms of price that seems like it's just never going to end, things like that. If you were to go out to like your quarterly charts, for instance, and this is a big one, I've brought it up on a lot of the shows I've gone on over the past few weeks in the group, of course. This is something I started looking into was, the averages of these quarters. Like, what is the average expectation? A lot of people do it on like a daily. Some people do it on weekly. And for me, it wasn't necessarily looking for the exact average. It was looking for outlier conditions that would lead to some form of an edge going forward. And what you'll notice is you have 2 quarters here. So this is 6 months worth of price action. There's really not a lot of movement there. In fact, that is only about 20% and like 27% or something like that. It's very minimal. And anytime we've ever done that, which again here, you get big expansions. Okay. So every time we've had outlier compression for 2 quarters, you always have a reversion in the following quarter. Bitcoin has never spent more than 3 quarters, or 2 quarters, I should say, consecutively underneath 50% of its mean average for return or downside. So in this case, that is 67 to 72% on the quarterly timescale. You just had that. And so you're obviously breaking up. And so if you start looking at, even on the low side, just going to 60%, it's going to bring you into this 90K region. So, just return wise, we're looking for this right off the rip. You're looking for 95,000. If you're going to the true average between 67 and 72, 98,000 all the way up to 101,000. So 100,000 now starts to make a lot more sense when we just look at things in terms of just mean reversion from expansion, and we're just using a higher time frame to justify our analysis. That way we're not getting sucked into the weeds on like a 4-hour or a daily. But it really gives you, a good outlook on what you should be looking for the quarter of the end of the year, I guess, this quarter four. So that is kind of how I started to base my thesis, looking for, okay, I should continue to hold my longs, and I really shouldn't get too bearish and cut any of the positions I'd started building in like the 16,000s. It was just one of those things where you had to really wait for this one and be patient. So now that we know that, historically speaking, we have never not had an expansion like this back to that 60% marker, which is at least 95,000 to 100,000. We can do basic things like fibs and work our way through. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go back to the BLX because there's just so much history and it's so nice. And the reason it's so nice is most people don't realize, when we came up here, this was a convergence zone of fibs. That's all it was. So when you came up here, this was an area I had targeted. And the reason I had targeted was we were looking for the trend. Okay, so you have your low to your high at 20K, and we're in logarithmic scale. And the reason that's important is because you're measuring off of percentage and not linear moves, which obviously linear means linear one-to-one. But when you have something that expands from $150 to $20,000, it really doesn't make much sense to measure it in linear scale. It makes a lot more sense to start measuring it in logarithmic. And you could make that argument even when things only do like a 5 or 10x. Those are really big percentages. So those are pretty wild when you think about it. So what you've done is you've come up to your gold pocket when you're looking at things from a trending basis when measured by percentage rather than linear one-to-ones. That's the prior cycle. Okay. Now, another thing that you had done was the the golden mean, which the mean app, what is that? 1618, right? The ratio, the golden mean, the golden ratio. It's everywhere, in terms of the world, I guess, is the way to put that. You find it in space and flowers and our DNA. It's very interesting to me. So you'll see that if you were to slide this on over, there you go, right? So now we already kind of have formed a zone of convergence based off two very well-known Fibonacci levels and very well respected, the gold pocket and the golden ratio in this case. And then from there, you can do things like negative fibs as well. And that was something I'd also done is, we're looking for negative fibs. So we're going left to right, of course, and we're just going to project to the upside in this case to the negative 236, which is the first one you'll look for. And you will find as well that this is going to give you, again, a resistance zone. So we can do things like this going forward. And you can see this is where we actually ended up as well. And it was a really big resistance. And then when you meet it with time, because these cycles have been identical, it was just a very easy area to start looking at this as this could be the top, right, from the last cycle. Where we are now, if we were to go through and do something similar at our 3K low to 69K high down to the 15K low, of course, that's what you want to be tracking. You want to be looking at these in terms of cycle moves. And start looking at things in terms of percentage, because this is $3,000 to 69K. That is over 22 times its value. And you can see that up around $100,000, give or take a few thousand. I think in the words of Benjamin Cohen, what's a few $1,000s amongst friends? You have your, again, trend-based logarithmic gold pocket, right? So very good to see. If you were to go ahead and start looking at things from the 69K high down to the low, just like we did previously, this 1618 gets a little out of hand. But if you were to take it out of log, you'll notice that at 101,000 in your linear scale move is definitely there, where this is more of a, what was this, like a 66% drop? Not a huge drop in this case. So to me, when I start looking at things like this, you start finding that convergence that you're looking for. Could this be the area to start looking for at least an incremental top, right? Like some resistance. So somewhere between 95 and 104 to me is a very big deal. And I've had this target, this folder, this macro folder for quite some time. And it's just based off of the current cycle, right? And you can see we're at the one-to-one. We did the exact same thing in the last cycle where we just blew through the one-to-one. It's all about how you approach the level. And in this case, we approached it and then we consolidated at our trend and then expanded. So you had to know that this was going to be a very cautionary area to look to potentially take a short. It just didn't make any sense just from the structure and just from looking at things. So now as we move forward, you should be able to start looking at upside targets and saying, hey, here's my 1618 at 102,000, right? If I were to take this and then turn it into log, right, we have the top side of that channel was also going to be 105 to 116 in this case for that one. You have all kinds of little things that start to rear their head. Sorry, my screen's very small. I'm used to working with 3 or 4, and we're working with a tiny laptop. You start looking at the 382, the inverse of the 618, which is, the inverse ratio, golden ratio. So 94,000. So the -5, 102, 110. So things start to add up that somewhere between 95 and maybe even as high as 111,000 could be a problematic zone for Bitcoin just from a fib level standpoint. The one thing I don't want to ignore is time. And the reason you don't want to ignore time is these cycles have been identical. Most people know this. They've been exact one-to-ones in time, both for the bear side of things and the bull. And a lot of people think that's because of the elections, or they think it's built into the halving. Whatever you may believe in that case, it has been, identical. So I would say easy to trade, but everyone thinks this time is different. Every single time we do it, everyone thinks it's different. So there is a case to be made, right? So when we look at the weekly chart, weekly is always good. I use fibs on the RSI. I've been doing it since like 2020. Throwback to, I did this for a guy on Sin City, and one of the people that I used to do this with actually chimed in and was like, dude, I haven't seen you do this in forever. Like, we did this back in the Newton days, like bull runs ago. You're looking at the gold pocket here. So this is your high. This is your secondary divergence high before the crash, right? It took 31 weeks. This was your 2021 64K top. This was your 69K top. You can see the divergence is forming into the gold pocket, took 44 bars. So if we just take an average of 44 and 31, we got 37 bars, and then we have 44 bars as being the longest that we have. We kind of form a little zone here in the 3rd week of November that lasts until about the end of January. This lines up very nicely with the idea that if this puts in a top at these resistance zones and you have this divergence and we start seeing a loss of structure, it really kind of fits the pattern of how Bitcoin likes to top out in terms of momentum indicators, and the window of time between these crucial areas does line up. So it's always possible at that time, and you don't see the traditional one-to-one cycle that goes into the 3rd quarter of 2025. So to me, that's what I'm watching most. There's definitely a lot of confluence and convergence for anywhere from, I would say, 93 up to 102, maybe even it squeaks past there. But to me, at that point, you're splitting hairs, once you're at 100,000. So I think 100,000 will likely be tagged based on where we are now, subject to change that if, as you said, there are some levels beneath us that are of interest, as we dive into, I call it the crack, even though we're on the 4-hour, it's not quite crackhead time frame. We'll go to the hourly. We have some very obvious mean reversions that could take place, and I think it's important to note those. You have a daily and a weekly pivot, and you guys know I like these because they are essentially just non-static moving averages. They don't move anymore. They're horizontal, and I like horizontal because it's very easy to track. So we can track statistics on these much easier than something that's changing constantly. In this instance, we know that this pivot is hit almost 90% of the time. The weekly pivot, however, is only hit anywhere from 80 to 84, sometimes as high as 87 over a 200 plot spread. Just depends on what price is doing, how range bound it is, and how range bound it's not. Obviously, during trending markets, that mean reversion percentage actually gets lower for obvious reasons because it's trending very hard the opposite direction. So when you look at something like this, all the way down at 76,000, you also have some NPOCs down here that you're going to want to keep track of, a daily and a weekly right here at 76. And then you've got a daily down here. And I do believe that we missed the daily pivot before this. And yeah, you did. So you've actually not tagged the daily pivot 2 days in a row. You almost never do that 3 days in a row. So when it does happen, you start looking at this like 86, 360 as an area of interest because, well, I mean, statistically speaking, we know that if this hits between usually 88 to 92%, missing too many of these is very unlikely. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It just means it's very unlikely. So a pullback here does make sense. It's just one of those things where do we get it before a push up, or how deep is the pullback? To me, looking at things, you have what's called a single print here. So for anyone that's curious, I heard FD use the term volume gap recently. very similar. Once there's a volume gap, a single print essentially implies that there really is no price action there. So once reached, it needs to be defended by the trend, aka right here. See how you come back and back test it. These can be really great support and resistance on the first go. So if you are giving up, this old daily untapped pivot in naked point of control and this single print, you're really challenging into a weekly trend here and getting up this weekly pivot. And that to me opens up the door to a bigger drop. And then you're looking more towards, is this weekly divergence playing out? Things like that. Because even though this is pushing through, this has not closed. This can go quite high and then still pull back. And, we need to see what this week is going to do for us. So I am cautious up here. Like I said, my favorite thing to do on DCAing is take profits. My next take profit was 90K. It actually front ran me by just a little bit. So it is one of those things where I will be doing so. And I usually take 8 to 10% of the position out at a time until, the run is over. And then I look for hedges the opposite direction, whatever it may be. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm viewing things right now. I mean, to me, it's a very simple market. It's one of those things where I have a system in place that works for me, both in time and in, whether it's expansion on the quarterly or Fibonacci based, once they all start lining up, to me, that's what's going to give me the confidence that if I see what I want to see reaction wise in this region, I would be considering making a counter move to the market. But I would never overexpose myself in that and think that I'm smarter than the market or smarter than the cycle, and basically burn all the gains that I had going into it. That's the key. Is like, if you've made money this cycle and you've made money on these positions, don't give it back trying to be, the smartest guy in the room. Just, stick to what like you said, take profits, tuck some of that away, put it into your portfolio that doesn't get traded, whatever it may be. Spend it on things that are going to improve your life or quality of life, or your family or whatever it may be, debt. I don't care. Just don't gamble with it. That's the last thing you want to do. So that's how I'm viewing Bitcoin right now. Hopefully my screen's still going and I'm not timed out with the Wi-Fi. So.
Nah, you're good, man. You're good. I got you a trio cam right now, kind of letting you wrap that up. But dude, it's kind of cool to hear your thought process and how like you get to 100K, because I feel like, again, a lot of people are saying 100K and there's not a lot of basis to why or how they're getting there. So it's really cool to hear you articulate like a solid reason for like, okay, well, based on, what we're seeing historically, this is what makes sense. So that's cool to see that. Thank you for that. I think a lot of people probably enjoyed that, quite a bit. And then Billy did ask a question here, and he left it in a super chat. So I will ask the question. Will be up to you on if you want to answer this or how you want to answer it. But he asked, what will be the next bear market low? Do you have any insight on that? Yeah.
I wish I knew, because we didn't get a traditional bear market low this last time. So it's tough to say right now. I would say that if you were more interested in something like that, I would look towards the marginal cost of production of Bitcoin, and how much it costs to actually have one, because the miners are going to play more of an effect in that case. You're going to want to see their seasonality. And there's some actually decent indicators. Charles Edwards, I think, on Twitter has a good one. He's the guy who did the, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the little blue dot, the halving capitulation, minor capitulation signal. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot it. I've been following that since like 2018. But Charles Edwards on Twitter, he's got a ton of followers now. I used to not, but he does everything from basically Bitcoin in an energy basis, because that is actually very important to the cost of Bitcoin. Because miners do, if miners are selling their Bitcoin to pay their bills, it can very much so affect the price, right? It doesn't really matter who's buying or who's not. If the people mining it are selling it at a rapid pace, it's like, okay, that's a problem. But if they're not, then, well, we have to reach a price where they sell it, and they have to sell it because the cost of production will get high, so they'll have to pay their bills. And that's kind of what you want to look for.
So the juice has to be worth the squeeze, man. It's gotta be.
Well, generally there's a floor that they track, and it's based on like deviations below the cost of production of a Bitcoin and how far it goes beneath there, and that generally has been a very good area to look to in terms of like where the low might come in at. But then you got to understand that moves, so you also have to bring in time. You got to go, okay, well, if it's moving like this and I'm trying to predict the cost of energy, it's not as simple as people think. We all want to pretend it is, but at the same time, if you're an investor, I always tell people there's no better time than now. There's never a perfect time to start investing if you're interested in it. Trading is different. If you're an investor, make a plan, write it down, stick to it, and maybe worry less about this stuff. You can still follow it and track it. Just don't let it influence your decisions too much until you've got proven results in a journal or something.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, I think, last week, of the importance of having a journal as well. Not everyone, is smart enough to remember every little trade and why they entered, and it does pay dividends to write things down, for sure. Small shout out here, Crypto Bloods in the chat. Want to say what's up to him. Thanks for being here, dude. We appreciate it. He is definitely one of our fams out there. So good peoples. I know, Magic, you probably run across him quite a few times in the space. So
yeah, I love Blood, man. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. He's OG, one of the OGest of OGs.
Yeah. He's good peeps. Oh man, what was I gonna? I got sidetracked, man. Blood, you got me. You got me, dude. Yeah. I don't even know what I was gonna ask. FD, you got anything you want to ask?
My son is crying, man. So I tried to keep my mic muted for a minute.
WWE match, man. I hear it. Yep. All right.
I think there we go. But yeah, like Magic was saying, man, it's a lot of times you can't really predict or call, especially well Alex said you did call the top last cycle, man. So we're gonna make sure we're following you and keeping it going.
Yeah, I got the top and the low. I got the low this last time around, which is the first time I nailed the low. I got long. I started leveraging longs at 16.6, and I said I put them on Twitter. Anytime I'm doing that, guys, I always put it out there. I say I'm not going to close this position. That usually means I'm trying to hold that for the cycle. So I did end up having to close it because I was on Bybit and they didn't accept my KYC that I tried to pull from Palo ID, and they did. I won't use the term liquidated, but they closed that position and made me take all my funds off the exchange, which stinks because I'd still be holding that position, which would be very nice. But oh well.
I did the same thing with Pax Gold. I had it on Bybit. I had a nice entry with Pax Gold because I was just trying to get some gold exposure, and they kicked us off, man. So I had to find another way to do it. So I definitely remember that.
Yeah, that one was brutal for me. I was trading on there since 2019. That was the only exchange I trusted. So then it's just been a merry-go-round, and now I think you guys are on Blowfin as well.
Yeah.
I like Blowfin. You guys found a good one, man. I think they're good.
Yeah, no, we've had no issues so far, so good. I think there was a couple of people I reached out to. I think Alex O was actually one of them that I was like, hey, like, what do you think? And no one's really had much bad to say about it. So far, so good. And I did, like, one of the first things I asked him, I was like, hey, like, I know the game you guys play. Like, it's whack-a-mole. Eventually, you're going to have to KYC. Like, we all know it. When do you think you're going to do it? And they were like, 2 years. And I was like,
yeah, they told me
good,
summer of
good enough.
Year 25. Yeah, so
we'll
see.
So I was like, cool, that'll work for now, and we'll just jump to the next one. So let us know when you guys all move over there, because we know you're all the same people. So
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Shout out to Andrea. She dropped a $20 super chat. She said, what do you think the total market cap will top out this cycle?
You guys would be better for that than me, because I actually, believe it or not, I look at very few things in correlation to Bitcoin. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't do almost any correlation trading. So when people say I look at market cap and I look at this or that, I just look at the Bitcoin chart, and we go from there. I make all my decisions based on that, including altcoins. If people say we look at this Bitcoin pairing, I don't do that either. I literally just look at the chart and look for a setup, and if it's there and it makes sense and fits my trading style, I take it. That's it. It's so I don't know on the market cap. I couldn't even tell you what the market cap is right now. I mean, we said it at the beginning of the show, and I think it just went in one ear and out the other, because it's just not something that computes in my brain.
It's getting close to about 3 trillion. I think the high that I'm looking at right now, I'll go ahead and share my screen here, was at about 3 trillion, pretty close, pretty darn close to 3 trillion. So we're getting up there. But yeah, it's hard to predict where it'll go, but that's something I used to trade actually. So when you can see actually right here, this 2.187, that was an area that I was looking at for quite some time. But yeah, I mean, you do find support and you do find resistance on horizontal levels with the market cap. And there was a time where I can't remember exactly where it was, but I saw that it was retesting a certain area a couple times, and I saw where Bitcoin was, and I did use it as part of my basis for an entry on a short actually, and it played out pretty well. But here nor there, I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. Like that's really hard, I think, to predict. But hey, 3 trillion. I mean, again, I am big on psychology of the market as well. When you start getting up to 3 trillion, right? That is a psychological number. That is a big number. I mean, if you're looking at the market cap, how many times have you seen something like this? Not too often. You have more steady climbs. That's a good climb, right? It's pretty healthy, low pullback. It's just working its way up. But I mean, this is a moonshot.
I guess if I was in her position, not to cut you off before I lose the train of thought, I would go back, Andrea, and look at other emerging markets like the .com era and see how big those bubbles did get. Obviously, they bursted. I'm not saying that Bitcoin and crypto is going to. I do think that a lot of it is a bubble, not Bitcoin specifically, but a lot of the altcoins. There's just too many. But go back and see how big did this thing get? Like, how big could this get? Maybe the .com bubble was much larger and it was like 6 trillion or something. You're like, man, this thing could go quite a ways, So it's one of those things where I'd start there and just start finding reference points and going from there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I got something to add on to that with Magic and what you said, TradeFly. Like last cycle, I got so caught up in predictions, price predictions, market cap predictions, altcoin predictions. I round tripped everything. I'm not doing that this time. I'm letting the market tell me, I'm letting the market conditions tell me what it's going to do, and I'm gonna ride the trend, because if I say, okay, I think crypto total market cap is going to 10 trillion, let's say it gets to 8 trillion, and then I'm still holding the bag, and that's where the tops out at. I'm waiting on 10 trillion, but everything was telling me in the markets, everything in the overall environment was telling me that this was a top. All my confluences came in with that this is the top, which happened last cycle. And you're still waiting on that 10 trillion, or you're still waiting on that 250K Bitcoin. You're going to round trip it. So I don't get caught up in these price predictions anymore. Like I said, I'm just trying to make some money and take some money. That's the key. Taking the money is bigger than is anything that you can think of right now. So we're making money right now. Everything's hunky dory. Everything's fine. But another thing I want to add, I want to get Magic's perspectives on this before we get out of here, is these pullbacks. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Like, how hard of pullbacks do you think we see on the road to whatever our all-time high is going to be? If you understand that question, because we're not building any structure, we're just going up only. So how do you see this playing out?
I would compare this closer to 2016. I'd review that if I was a person, those types of pullbacks. If this is going to continue on to like Q3 of this year, you'll have some very, very quick moves down. They'll be pretty violent, but generally good buying opportunities. And the best way to play those is, let me see if I can't get my screen up real quick, and we'll actually look through a couple of them, because it's always good to look at them, and see what did occur back in that day, right? Back in my day. I think, am I the oldest one on here? I might be.
I don't know. So how old are you?
I'm 36. So
bro, I got you smoke checked.
You look better than me, man. You're looking young.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're good. Yeah, you're good. You don't got to worry about nothing. So this is Q4 right here. You can start to see these. So all you'd start looking at is, okay, can I identify, key lows, and once reclaimed, is it a long signal with the trend? Like, is the trend broken? So let's go to the weekly. Let's see if we can't find some SFPs, my favorite trade. Yeah, you certainly can. So there's a big one here. You get a nice swing failure pattern, sets up shop on a weekly time scale. Again, right here, Q4, SFP, barely, but you do get one. Sometimes that's how they go, right? And you can see again, another violent pullback over the course of just a couple weeks. You take the low. What's the trade? The trade is finding how can I get an entry trigger off of a setup like this, whether it's taking out the previous week open, like right here, you'd be putting an entry here once it claims it, and then stop loss below the low, or wherever you've, kind of worked out in your own trading strategy, all the way up until here, right? And you don't have an SFP here, so you're just not taking that trade potentially. Eventually it does something like this, and you can see that, well, not as clean, but there's still a trade there if you wanted it. And same with right here, another one. So that's how I would start trading these if we got a similar market. And that would also imply on the RSI, which would be different than what I showed you earlier, the model where I said, this is where our divergence comes in. If you look at this is just constantly living in the 80s, which is crazy on the weekly. And all you're doing is dipping down to like 53, back, and just ripping, right? So it's all you're doing. The moment you break through 46, really key area on the RSI for anyone that OG follows Eric Crown on Crown's Crypto Cave. Something I learned from him in like 2018. 46 on the RSI, super clean level. Even on the 5-minute, it's great. So I watch it on the weekly like a hawk. And if you were to go to our current weekly price action, actually, 46, it's like clockwork.
There you go.
So yeah, so if we push through this 100K region, in my opinion, and push through in time, then yeah, we can look at this area as, oh yeah, we identified resistance, but Bitcoin didn't care, and it's going to have a traditional cycle. Maybe it does see that $150,000 number or something. It's probably going to look something similar to back over here, where it was still up only, but the pullbacks were they were harsh, but they gave opportunity. And this is a weekly chart, right? So you got to remember, this isn't like, hey, you had to make this decision in 5 minutes. You had days to think about this. So that's how I would do it. When in doubt, zoom out a little bit, find a setup that works for you so that you can manage risk. That's how I would do it. So pullbacks wise, what might they look like? I don't know. But if they look like that, that would be a really easy trading setup if a person was prepared for it, right? Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think I was watching. I watch a lot of. I don't know if you know who Trader Main is. He uses that strategy a lot. Yeah, so he's been talking about that a lot too. Just on the regular time frames, but you can also. It seems like it would just work just as fine or even better on those long time frames too. On those higher time frames, rather. Yeah.
There's a way to know if the SFP is good or not. And, he does things more basic where it's all based on market structure, but you can get into like order flow and take a look at a low and determine if it's a good low or a bad low, and then you can run probabilities on it. So when we dipped to 17K back in the summer before we made our low at 15, we were one of the few people out there telling people, hey, this isn't the low. And the reason it isn't is there's certain things that happened at the low that would say that there's an 80% chance that it's probably going to be taken. And not only that, it came in on a weekend, and we don't really do that often. So in terms of traditional markets being open, in terms of what we saw statistically from a delta and open interest standpoint, there isn't anything here telling me that we won't eventually come down here and take this low. And it did. And it did right on time, which was the cycle time, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, so there's ways to kind of validate those. It requires more time. So again, it comes down to the person and like what kind of time output do they want to put into it. And sometimes, even if they study 4 hours a day, it can take years. It takes people years to learn how to do this successfully and manage emotions and manage, the data. So it is what it is. You got to put in the work. That. Everybody knows that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny you say that, man. I remember making an entire video, and I want to say the price was at around 17.2 or somewhere in that neighborhood. There was a lot of things lining up of why I was thinking it was pretty close to the low. Hindsight, not so bad, but it was not the low. No,
Hey, we're talking about dollars. All we were talking about is it would take the low. We weren't saying it was going to go to like 3K. Yeah. We were just saying low will probably be taken at some point.
Right on. Yeah, I was taking a bunch of like, what is it? There was like a top and bottom like cycle. Like there was one with the mining as well, like when it actually capitulates. So I was taking all of it and like overlaying it with the charts and all that. And I'm like, I mean, historically, we should be pretty close, maybe.
Being pretty close is pretty good, though. Imagine that. There's a lot of people that didn't buy between 17 and 25K that are probably just like, man, I would kill for, a 3+X on my Bitcoin right now. They didn't. So if it doesn't have to be exact sometimes, it can be exactly
That's
that. Hey, I have a good
yeah.
idea. I feel like I have an edge, and I just got to execute and make sure that I'm not wrecking myself when I do it and putting myself too far out there. And that's it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it was mentioned as well too, right? So like you were saying, have a plan, right? Even if it's now, having a plan and just getting in and starting to execute what your plan is. Like I try to tell people all the time, if you would have bought at 69K and you DCA'd all the way down, like to bear market lows, you're in profit once you get back up to 30K.
Yeah.
Like, and because that was like a time thing, right? Because everyone's like, that's not 69 divided by 2. Yeah, I know. But over time, like it ends up fluctuating.
There's a weighted average.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I did it. Like I did the breakdown. I was like, all right, cool. Let's do the DCA all the way down and all the way back up. And it was right around 30,000. And I was like, think about now. Think about the profit you would be in now. And that's you buying the 2021 high. Like if all else fails and like you don't want to trade, you don't want to, get into swing trades, that's cool. Like what we're doing, some of the analysis that Magic is bringing you, that stuff is not easy. Okay. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of journaling, a lot of practice to be able to go through that. And, for those that are new and just getting into the space and like retail, you're coming back. Hey, welcome back. Hi, we've been here a while. DCA, get some exposure, DCA. And, you just got to give it time. And right now, I would say we're more bullish than ever based on there is adoption. We're not having that discussion anymore. That's just long gone. Like we're talking about regulation now, and we have people that are pro crypto that are in the government. So, I think it's here to stay. Be careful what you allocate your money to. Bitcoin's obviously daddy. And when you start getting outside of that, you are gambling a little bit, right? With some of those meme tokens and things of that nature. But, I get some exposure. Start the process, and I think it's really important. So even if it's through an ETF, that's fine. Like make it part of your retirement. That's cool. I think I'm going to do that now, to be perfectly transparent with you. And that is probably the easiest way for a lot of people to get exposure, because you can just go straight to where you already have your funds, or you can allocate a portion of your portfolio, whatever the case may be. But again, it's cool. It's good times. We should all be happy. Most people should be profitable at this point. I would imagine, even if you bought 69K and you waited it out and you didn't DCA in down and you just waited it out, you rode it all the way down to bear market lows, you should be in profit. So hopefully you didn't sell on the way down, because that's the ones that usually hurt. What's up, man?
The best feeling for me right now, and I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but I'm gonna say it anyway. We've been talking about this for 2 years. I mean, I've been talking about it on Facebook. I've been talking about it on Instagram. I've been talking about it everywhere. Nobody was listening. Now it's like, hey, I told you so. And like it's that feeling. It's not like one of those gloating, but it's like the validation of my conviction. Just being convicted to come here and make content, come here and make these calls every day. And now, people are coming and asking about it, and I welcome it. I definitely welcome it. But it's like, good job. Everybody who's been here every day, everybody who's been showing up. A lot of creators, a lot of people on the internet went away, and now they're starting to come back. But we know who the ones who've been around and who, stood the test of times and been there for their communities, man. So congratulations.
Yeah. No, what you just said is very true. It'll make you, it'll boost your confidence a little bit, because then you can start relying on yourself, and that. And that's the thing, is now you're like, okay, I can trust me to do this. And you just grow from there. And a lot of people don't understand that when it comes to money and trading and stuff like this, that's a really big deal. And it can take a long time to build that up. And you got people coming, the ones that are listening, they're just there to talk some smack, man. They're on there saying, this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. They're saying that stuff. Trust me, I see the comments. I made a video about XRP, that it was going to go to $1.39 and then 29 cents in 2021 when I got on the TikTok after I lost my YouTube channel. So I was like, I'm going to go make it big on, TikTok, whatever. Dude, I got like hundreds of comments from people on XRP.
Yeah, that's a tough community, bro. XRP is not one to mess with.
Guess who was right, though? It did go to 29 cents to the penny. And I screenshotted every one of those comments. And then I went back to that video and I said, hey, how you doing, man? Like, how are you? And it wasn't to be rude. It was just to say, hey, remember? Like, because I remember this TA stuff does work, because they were like, you can't do TA on it. It's all fundamentals. I was like, it's not how this works. Unfortunately, buyers and sellers are.
Oh yeah,
Magic came up receipts, man. He's like, I got you.
XRP,
I got you.
The XRP community, man. I made a video last week, actually, right before the election. I said I'm going to sell 1/3 of my XRP bag. Oh man, I was the biggest idiot, the biggest dummy. Why do I have a channel? It was crazy. They came after me, but it worked out. I swung it over to some stacks, swung it over to some other things, and it worked out.
Hey, you guys remember the weekly numbers? XRP, you're up 1.31%, 7 days. Good job. You made it.
XRP is what got me into crypto, man. I was an
Really?
XRP fanatic because, dude, I was
Me
watching
too.
all these YouTube channels going through it. I got in at 3 cents because one of my buddies was like, "You got to buy XRP," and I rode it all the way to the all-time high. I was like, "Dude, this thing's going to $10, $5.89." I was like, "Okay," I was in sales at the time, so I was making good money. So to me, I was like, it was easy for me to watch it grow into what it did. But then when it started coming down, and I realized I didn't know what I was doing, and I wouldn't say I was lucky, but that's what it was. You were lucky. And so I got out at about $1.20. You can't be upset. It's a 40x. I took that and I bought some rental properties, and yeah, that's the way to do it. But after that, I was like, okay, I got to start doing TA. And then eventually I was like, XRP forever is going to be my bitch, And so I've pump and dump on that coin for a long time. And, the community, they're all right. We got some guys in our group that are, XRP people, and they understand now that TA definitely works. It's just one of those things where you can't drink the Kool-Aid too hard, man. Like even with things like Bitcoin, it's going to pump and dump. Like Michael Saylor, man, I love the dude, but man, after what he did in the .com era, being he lost the most money of anyone in that. I don't even know if you guys know that, but no one's lost more money than that man. He was the biggest loser almost outside of I think he was the second biggest loser of the .com era. Like
Really?
Billions. Yeah. And so now he's this way about Bitcoin. He's so emphatic and he's almost in love with the investment. I'm like, that is such a bad thing to do. You can't fall in love with these things because they're not going to love you back.
He's up billions now. Should he take profit?
No, he looks like a genius now. He looked like a genius then for a long time.
Realize the profits? Maybe?
Yeah. He said you never sell, which to me is a mistake.
Yeah.
He's counting on it replacing, things you can take out, loans against things like that.
I was just about to say that. He's probably taking out loans against it.
That's what he's counting on. He's counting on that becoming a standard thing where he can continue to do that. And that way it'll protect the value of it because it'll always be kind of held. But, we don't have a crystal ball where it's an educated guess, and he's got a very big risk tolerance. So good for him. I hope it works out, because if it works out for him, I'm going to make a bunch of money too. And my family's going to do well. So that's fine by me.
Right on. Yeah. My big conviction play early on was Cardano. So I rode that one up. Yeah, I rode that one up. I sold it, and I told FD this story. I sold it about, I think it was like $2.86. And I was mad at myself. Yeah, I was mad at myself, and I was like, I saw it, go up over $3. I was like, no, it's really going to go to like $5 or like $10, like my friends were saying. And I was like, I won the trade. Cool. Like, and I had a good bit of it. Like I went in with like 10K off Jump Street. But same thing. Like once I made a few good trades, like through the bull market, things started pulling back, and I ultimately like liquidated most of my account. I moved most of that money into rental properties. I bought 2 duplexes out in Wisconsin. Never seen them. Yeah. Don't know what they look like besides pictures. Like, and it's going great.
I live in one of my townhomes, and then my neighbors are actually my tenants. I have like a whole row.
Okay.
So. Yeah,
that's
cool.
The way I should do it, but not the way I did it.
It's all right.
Yeah. Thankfully, the property management team is pretty good, man. Like they know that most of their clientele is veterans, so like they really don't talk much to me besides like, hey, we did this, we did that, cool. Like and they'll have like a little summary, and that's that. Like I like. It's pretty much hand off. And then I get my, my paperwork at the end, like, hey, do your taxes, your capital gains. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot. But, you got to go through and like itemize everything and write everything off, which is a real pain in the butt. But it is what it is. FD, you're picking up on the trend, bro. It's your turn after this cycle. I think real estate's in your future.
I got some. I got some property, man. I got some that I want to actually build on. I didn't buy it. My wife's mother actually gave it to us, so I don't know what we're gonna do with it. You know, I'm trying to travel, so I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm probably gonna after this summer. I'm probably gonna be gone for another year. Once this bull run, you know, kind of fizzles out a little bit. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Real estate takes a lot of hands on, I heard, but you said you got property managers and
Nah,
whatnot. So
mine was not
Yeah.
hands on at all. So it depends.
It can be either one. Yeah, it can be either one. You can make it that way or not. It just depends on you.
okay.
So
Yeah, you build it into the price, man. So like when I broke everything down, I was like, what is it going to cost for a property management team? How much a cut are they taking? And then, you know, you set money aside too for like incidentals. Like you have a percentage that you set aside for that. So I actually have a sheet, man. So let me know, like when you get into it, I have a sheet that kind of breaks everything down for you, and it'll kind of give you a good swag of like, you know, how much money is going to actually go towards the property and like how like profitable you'll be month to month. So that's, you know, ROI and all that stuff. Like it's pretty cool. So just let me know and I'll send that to you. But FD, I forgot to tell you, man, I downloaded something for you. I said I was going to do it. Do you know what it is?
What is it?
Top flight security of the world, Craig. Not just the city, the world.
Man.
We need that.
There it is, man. Of the world, Craig. Yeah, so
We need that.
I downloaded that. But cool. We are getting towards about 7 o'clock here. I think we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping this one up, man. Magic, dude, I appreciate you coming on. It was a good time, good vibes, man. And some of your analysis, your technical analysis. I call you the doctor of TA. I think you're one of the smartest guys in the space, man. So it's an honor to have you on. And yeah, man. So
my
Discord?
dad just calls it his autism, man. So I don't know how else to explain it. You know, luckily I fell in love with charting instead of train sets, and we're good to go. You know,
I get it. That's cool, man. Discord though, that's is that kind of like your main like hub for bringing people over?
Yeah, that's what we do. We just do a Discord. All we're doing in there is trying to educate. You know, we have an area just like everywhere else. We call it the glory hole because Crypto Hub, obviously. That's where you share your trades that you win or lose. However, we do have rules. You can't just post winners without giving your trade setup and without going through why you took the trade, your entry triggers, your plan. So if you want some clout, you gotta, you know, show that you put in the work and it wasn't just luck. You know, and it sounds kind of cruel, but that's how you mold people into journaling and into having these things. And that's kind of our big thing, you know, is we really kind of stick to that. And so I won't be on SEC tomorrow because I'm traveling, but Max will be out there. If you guys have never seen Max, he's an English dude that I've known for a few years that I partner with, and he lives in Dubai, and just really, really interesting way he does TA2, a little different than mine. He'll be out there tomorrow. So I'll plug Sin City on that one because we don't make a lot of public content. We just go on other people's shows. We don't promote ourselves a lot. It's not really something that we do. We just like, I don't know. We just like interacting with the space, sharing memes, making jokes, making money, helping people where we can. And, you know, that's it. You know, it's all good vibes. Well,
you go live on your premium side, right? Like, so that's one thing.
Yeah. We do lives for the group, of course. Yeah. So when they join, it's not like we just say, hey, good luck, you know, interact with us in Discord, like 2 to 4 times a week, give or take. We go live and we do chart requests, and then we do rundowns, and we'll run through whatever if people have questions. So, because again, people are going to have questions. No one just gets into the space and goes, yeah. But
dude, sometimes like I'll look at some of your content and I'm just like, what just happened?
I don't use my TikTok anymore, really, but I've left all the videos up, and I got to like 60,000 subscribers on there at one point in like 6 months, and sometimes I go back and listen to them, and I mean, like, it is just like, you know, I'm like, man, I can't believe people were consuming that. Like, what are they doing? But there's a market for it. There were some people that wanted that. It was like zero personality, zero anything. There were no jokes in the videos, nothing. It was just, I didn't even have a camera on, nothing. No one knew what I looked like. It was just straight yay. And so many people would message me like, what do you look like? They're like, are you just like this like fat guy with glasses? I'm like, what do you mean? You know, no, man. Nerd, but like not that big of a nerd, I guess. I don't know. But just a normal dude, just an old guy who makes really low quality, low budget videos for you guys.
There it is. I'm celebrating the bull market here. You can see got my nice AI green screen
You
going.
you guys have a really good setup in terms of production quality is very good. I do want to compliment you guys on that. Very good.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're using Ecamm, so that's something that we get paid for with Piper Academy. So, which is super cool. Yeah, it's really cool. Piper does good, man. He treats us good. So, cool. All right, man. Well, we're gonna wrap this up, man. Again, it was a pleasure. FD. I hope the WWE match is over. Good luck with that. What's up?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I hear them up there talking, but they just waiting for me to come up there and lay with them for a minute. So, Magic, man, I appreciate you. I know you drove, like I think you said, 4 hours and then hopped right on the live. So, we appreciate that, man. And I'm gonna probably rewatch your analysis on this show, and then I'll definitely be tuned in to you in the future, man. So, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And happy Veterans Day, TradeFly. Forgot to say that because I know you serve. So, yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm still grinding, dude. So that's a lot of people don't realize I work at night. So like everything. That's why I actually started this show in the evening because I could no longer handle doing the morning show. I was coming off shift and I was just like, I'm brain dead. And I was getting through shows and I'm like, I know I said some good things, but I don't know everything I said. And I know that people are listening to this and like there's money involved and like I just was very conscious of that and it kind of bothered me and I was like, hey man, I was like, I don't know that I can keep doing this when I don't get sleep. So, I was like, maybe I start an evening show and FD, the timing was impeccable. Like FD literally put a post out on Twitter and he was like, hey, like I'm looking to like team up with some people or something along those lines. It's just where he was at. And I was like, hey dude, like you want to do something together? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And here we are, man. So it's going pretty good so far. Numbers are all right. Yeah. So yeah, man. Cool. All right, brother. We're going to get out of here. Yeah, man. You take it easy and you are more than welcome back anytime you want. Just let me know. So
you guys let me know in the future. Usually my evenings are fairly free unless I'm at wrestling practice. So it's one of those things.
I'm familiar. My daughter wrestles as well.
That's what you were saying. I remember that. So good luck to her this year, man. Hope she does well.
She's starting to transition more into the gymnastics, man. So she's still wrestling,
So my daughter does gymnastics too, and she's like killing it in that. But I took her to this new wrestling, gym, and I didn't think she liked it because the girl in there is the national champ last year in her age group and 2-time state champ, and she got worked over. She didn't even know who that girl was. And I knew who she was, and man, she wasn't ready for that. There's levels. At that age.
Yeah, there is. That's my daughter got thrown around a couple times. And one of the girls, like I don't know if she was state champ or what she was, but she was up there. Like she hadn't lost a match all year. And yeah, she got worked, man. And then she came back like the next time and she took this boy and did like a hip toss on him almost. And like he like started crying and all kinds. And then she was like, yeah, I like this. And like it's been game one ever since. So
that's awesome. That's good, man. That's what you want.
It's cool. Awesome. It's cool, man. I love watching it. All right. Everyone that's in the chat, thank you for being here. We appreciate you so much. We're going to get out of here for the evening. Again, like and subscribe. That would help the channel out. And go ahead, follow Magic. That is down in the description below. I got his X as well as his Discord. So go over there, support him. We would appreciate that. So with that being said, we're going to get out of here. You guys have a good night. Trade safe, and we will see you tomorrow.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's
there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange.